So people always ask us how we got into Freespirit.
Yeah.
So maybe you could fill them in a little bit.
I think it's probably it's different for both of us, because it was kind of, we had our different things that we were into when you came out of college. So we started as a music festival company. That's kind of how we got into it. But while we were doing that, I was living in Colorado, and Western hunting was like what I was addicted to, still am. And so I probably was one of the first guys using a rooftop tent, elk hunting. And so, I think from the music festival side, that's where we see stuff like hub tents. Right. And then we also see rooftop tents. And so through our kind of journey with the music festivals, we ended up acquiring Freespirit and blending both, because you were kind of the music festival side, I was kind of the hunting side, and then now we're kind of both.
Right.
And so that's really why we got into it, is blended a few interests and where we were having fun, and now we're here.
Yeah, and we were in Bend from 2019 to 2020. Well, no, 2014 to 2021.
Yep.
The company was, and then we moved out here and
brought it to Denver.
Yeah.
So we could do this kind of stuff in Bend, Oregon too, but it's easy here, and
it's
closer to home a little bit.
Yeah, for sure.
I feel like at least Freespirit is kind of pushing the design side of rooftop tents, and that's aesthetic and its function and different stuff. And people do ask us, why do we do it that way? And I don't know if there's like a exact rhyme or reason, but maybe
Obsession.
maybe answer it from the hub tent. Like, how did the hub tent come to life? And then, why we do it that way, and where we started with music festivals.
Well, the music festival thing kind of came about because, we saw the demand, that it was something that was needed, but, I think the hub tent design is just a really easy, clean way to camp.
Yep.
And that's kind of where it started with music festivals. But, and we didn't have hub tents originally, when we came into Freespirit. And so, I mean, it was always on our radar.
Yeah. Well, we were putting rooftop tents on stands out in a field and letting people camp. We probably had more people try rooftop tents in a field,
not knowing
set up on stands, not that knowing that they were supposed to be on vehicles. But I think from the rooftop tent standpoint, we've always wanted things to be really simple.
Yeah.
Mainly because we're not like, whether we're using it at a baseball game, a music festival, hunting, fishing, just normal camping, like just at a pull-off camp spot. Nothing crazy or extreme, not driving to Alaska or doing anything like that. We're thinking more about the weekend camper. So when we make things, we're trying to make them really simple, but then also knowing, hey, you're using this thing off road, so we do need to think about the squeaks and a screw coming loose or something like that. We try to touch all those, but also give it like this aesthetic look to add to your vehicle.
Right. There's nothing worse, I feel like, than going out, especially when you leave Friday after work. You get out, it's raining, you never know what the weather's going to do, and you're sitting there spending 30 minutes trying to set up your tent or whatever. I mean, it just gets your weekend off to a
slow start.
Not great start.
Exactly. Slow start. So, but I think that easy, things that last a while, that's the other thing that people do talk about at Freespirit. And I think this comes from, number one, Trilayer has been around we've been doing it now for 8-9 years, something like that. Very early on, we went into the fabric side of things, and I think you'll see us going back more to Trilayer.
Yeah.
Reinventing Trilayer, working on it more. But the aesthetic of Trilayer, what you can do with it, the benefits of Trilayer, that's all been like a work in progress for a really long time.
Yeah.
So now it's like little minor tweaks.
Yeah.
Here and there.
Yeah, I think we wanted to get away from that traditional either canvas style or that kind of really thin, crappy material that you get, and it may be lightweight, for backpack camping, but when you got a thing on your vehicle, why not?
You're not worried about the extra fabric weight. Yeah, I would agree with that. I think that makes sense if you have seen us, like we've come out with our hybrid Trilayer. Why did we do that? Well, the real reason we did it was because of requests of people wanted to store bedding in a low profile tent.
Right.
And Trilayer takes up more room, so like you can either have Trilayer or you can have bedding. And we tried to answer the call of best of
Melt it
both
too.
worlds.
Yeah, exactly.
I think Trilayer offers you a lot more, from a fabric standpoint than just a single layer. But in order to store bedding, we had to go to that single layer.
Right.
And that's really, you'll see us make these little tweaks. Full screen house, Trilayer walls.
Yeah, we're always trying to listen to people and see what our customer wants, and yeah, storing bedding in is a big one. Even though,
Well, that's where Aircore came from.
right, exactly.
We were trying to answer the call for Aircore, and we do all this stuff too with the same manufacturer. Like, we're not going away. Like, we've been doing this for a long time.
Yep.
You're going to see little tweaks. You're going to see little things get better. And I think now we're focused on aesthetics. We kind of got where we want our tent models to live and what they look like. And now it's better on the trail fixes, having parts, little tweaks, trying to make little things better. But
Yeah.
it's hard to reinvent a square box or a rectangle.
Well, I mean, it's kind of like the evolution. It's like if it's not broke, don't fix it. But you can always make it better.
Right.
So like from V1 to V2 and soon, maybe V3. You'll see little changes, but we're just trying to incrementally get better every time we come out with a new tent, and because they're already pretty good.
Well, yeah, I mean, they last a while for people, and I think that's something different about Freespirit too, is that if you take care of them and the money that you paid for them and you put the effort into making them last, like, we really do think we love having comeback customers, but also are trying to build a product that's going to last a long time for you.
Yeah.
So that you get that ultimate value out of it. And if something goes wrong, we're trying our best to make sure we've got every component. And that's the big difference of buying from Freespirit or, another company that takes it seriously versus maybe something that you find on Amazon. And you guys, we've got some products on Amazon. What do you think of the Amazon rooftop tents?
Yeah, I mean, I think that they have their place maybe, but I don't think you're getting that same customer service post-purchase. Honestly, just being comfortable with that purchase. It's not a cheap purchase no matter where you buy it from. And so I think when you go with companies like ours or companies that have been around a long time, all right, they've been here, they've dealt with these issues, they're going to be able to take care of me after the fact if something goes wrong on the trail, because look, you never know what's going to happen.
I just think you have to plan on something happening, and that's if you don't know and you make one of these purchases on Amazon, some of them are like halfway decent, but there's no one to call, there's no one to get a hold of, and I'm like, something always goes wrong. There's always something. You're in the wild, you're in nature, something's going to happen.
Expect the worst, hope for the best.
But try to take care of it. But we'll be here. And that's the difference is, the Amazon products are a really cheap product.
Yeah.
Number one, it's most likely not going to last, knowing the effort that we put into them and, what happens on the trail and trying to have replacement parts.
Yeah.
That's just not the same, and you are paying for some of that.
Yeah, and I don't think that, we're not perfect every time, but when things do happen where we know it's an error, we're gonna fix it for them.
Yeah, or we're trying our best.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's like the key with, you look at like Evolution, and it's, we've had customers that have had an Evolution V1 that have wanted to switch, and they've had that tent for, I don't know, multiple 3-4 years, and they're like, I just want a new skin, and I'm going to toss that in there, and now I've got a brand new tent.
And we're thinking that way all along, because even going now into awnings, like if you just like kind of switch to awnings, like an awning is a sail on the side of your car, like it is truly a kite if you let it be. But we're trying to think about that to where if you have issues, okay, can we just take out a bolt? Can we replace a bolt? Can we replace an arm? Can we replace an actual awning cover easily? You'll see us try to keter strip stuff in, that's what I call it, and just slide it into place so it can be slid out for replacement. But the awnings are super simple. There's not much to an awning.
Yeah, but I mean, it's like a balance of like that. You want it simple. One so you can replace, easy setup, fast setup.
Yep.
and you want it to work every single time. You know,
Yep.
especially when you're out here and you got to drive an hour, 2 hours back to civilization to.
Good example. Somebody sent me a YouTube video of guys doing Hell's Revenge, and they're
Yeah.
going up with a great vehicle, but the thing tipped on its side and killed its battery. You couldn't use it anymore. Sometimes
Right.
like the tech is a good thing, and then it holds you
Gets you into
back in
trouble.
other ways. So
Right.
like, I think you'll consistently see from Freespirit simple products.
Mhm.
You don't over-engineer a tent. You don't go crazy with
Right.
anything. You don't over-engineer, figuring out how things work. Like, let's just keep it simple.
Mhm.
Offer up products that are going to work and are going to last a while. I think you're just going to continue to see that from us.
Yeah, 100%.